Please like this video and subscribe to Story Tales. I hope you enjoy the story. Let's begin. Lennox Granger's knuckles turned white as he gripped the edge of the hospital bed. Rain lashed against the windows of the Portland Memorial Delivery Room, matching the storm brewing inside him. "Push, Aubrey. You're almost there," the nurse urged at Aubrey's face twisted with effort, sweat dampening her blonde hair. Her fingers dug into Lennox's forearm as another contraction hit. "You got this," Lennox said, his voice steady despite the unease that had been growing in his gut for months. Suspicions he'd tried to bury, doubts he'd pushed aside for the sake of what they'd built together. His mother Eula stood in the corner, arms crossed over her chest, watching with those hawk-like eyes that missed nothing. She'd flown in from Georgia 2 days ago, bringing with her the scent of magnolias and that no-nonsense attitude that had kept Lennox grounded his entire life. "One more big push," the doctor called. Aubrey screamed, her grip becoming a vice. Then came the cry's sharp, new, demanding life. "It's a girl," the doctor announced. Relief washed over Lennox. After months of preparation, their daughter had arrived. He leaned forward, eager for his first glimpse. The room fell silent. The baby was beautiful, perfect lips, 10 tiny fingers, 10 tiny toes, and unmistakably not his. Lennox stared at the infant's rich brown skin, so different from his pale complexion or Aubrey's fair tone. The room tilted beneath his feet. "This baby ain't our blood." Eula's voice cut through the silence, every syllable dripping with southern certainty. Lennox's eyes snapped to Aubrey. Her face had drained of color, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "Lennox, I don't." One word, flat and final. The nurse shifted uncomfortably. The doctor cleared his throat, focusing intently on the newborn. "There must be some mistake," Aubrey whispered, tears forming. "Maybe it's a genetic thing. Stop lying." Lennox's voice remained eerily calm. "Just stop." A knock on the door saved her from responding. Dr. Ramos entered, clipboard in hand, and an envelope tucked under his arm. The pediatrician's eyes widened slightly as they landed on the baby, but he recovered quickly. "Mr. Granger, I have the results you requested." 3 weeks ago, Lennox had asked for a paternity test. He'd told himself he was being paranoid, that the late nights and unexplained absences had reasonable explanations. He'd wanted proof to silence his doubts. Now, as Dr. Ramos handed him the sealed envelope, Lennox already knew what it would say. His fingers were steady as he tore it open. The medical jargon blurred except for one line. Probability of paternity, 0%. The paper crumpled in his fist. "Lennox." Aubrey reached for him, tears streaming down her face. "Please." "No." He stepped back, beyond her reach. "Don't touch me." Eula moved to his side, her hand on his shoulder. "Son, Mom, take the baby." His voice was ice. "I need to talk to my wife. Alone." The nurses exchanged glances but followed protocol, cleaning and wrapping the infant before handing her to Eula. Lennox waited until the medical staff filed out. Only Dr. Ramos lingered at the door. "I'll give you privacy," he said awkwardly. "But Mrs. Granger needs rest after the delivery." "This won't take long," Lennox replied. When the door clicked shut, he turned to Aubrey. Her face was blotchy with tears, hands clutching the hospital blanket. "Who?" The question hung between them, sharp as a blade. "It was a mistake, Lennox. One night." "Who?" Louder this time. "It doesn't matter." It meant nothing. It meant everything. His control finally slipped. It meant our marriage. It meant the past 4 years of my life. It meant the future I thought we were building. "Now tell me who." "Someone I met at a design conference." "It was just once." "Bullshit." Lennox cut her off. "That baby isn't just once. That baby is someone you've been with enough that when she came out looking like him, you weren't surprised." Aubrey's silence confirmed it. "I want you out of our house when they release you," he said quietly. "Don't come back. Don't call me. We're done." "What about the baby?" Her voice was small. "That's not my baby." "Lennox, please. You made your choice." He moved toward the door. "Now you live with it. You can't just walk away. We need to talk about this." Lennox paused, hand on the doorknob. "There's nothing to talk about. You destroyed everything. And I want nothing to do with you or that child." The door closed behind him with a soft click that belied the earthquake it represented in his life. In the hallway, Eula waited, the newborn in her arms. Her eyes, so like his own, were filled with a mixture of sorrow and fury. What now, son? Lennox looked at the baby, innocent in all this, but a living reminder of betrayal. Now I find out the truth. All of it. The house felt like a museum of lies. Lennox stood in the doorway of what should have been the nursery, staring at the yellow walls Aubrey had insisted on. Yellow works for any gender, she'd said, paintbrush in hand, smiling that smile he now questioned. Had she known then? Had she already been sleeping with someone else while picking out cribs and debating names? The sound of a car in the driveway pulled him from his thoughts. 3 days after the birth, and Aubrey was home, but not for long that he met her at the door. She looked smaller somehow, clutching a hospital bag in one hand and a car seat in the other. The baby slept inside, oblivious to the destruction around her. "Can I come in?" Aubrey asked, voice trembling. Lennox stepped aside without a word. She placed the car seat on the coffee table and turned to face him. "Lennox, we need to talk." "So talk." "I made a terrible mistake." "A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill," he interrupted. This was a choice. Multiple choices over and over. It wasn't like that. Tears filled her eyes again. It happened once, and then it got complicated. Complicated. He laughed, the sound hollow. "Simple question. Who is he?" Aubrey looked away. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Someone I met through work. A client's friend. It didn't mean anything. You're still lying." Lennox's voice hardened. "One more chance? Who is he?" "Why? So you can confront him?" "What good will that do?" "The truth. That's what it will do." He stepped closer. "I want to know who destroyed my life." "You're being dramatic." "Dramatic?" His voice rose. "You cheated on me, Aubrey. You got pregnant with another man's child and tried to pass it off as mine. How long would you have kept lying if that baby came out looking like me?" She flinched. "I was going to end it. I was trying to figure out how. By sleeping with him while I designed the nursery? By picking out a family car while carrying his kid?" Lennox shook his head in disgust. "Your stuff is packed. 2 suitcases in the garage. Take them and go." Aubrey's eyes widened. "You can't just throw me out. This is my house, too. A house I bought with my money from my business." His tone left no room for argument. "You've got 20 minutes to grab anything else you need." "And what about her?" Aubrey nodded toward the car seat where the infant slept. "That's not my child. She's innocent in all this, Lennox. I know that." His jaw tightened. "But I'm not raising another man's kid because you couldn't keep your legs closed." Aubrey's hand came up to slap him, but he caught her wrist mid-air. "Don't." She yanked her arm away. "You're being cruel." "No, Aubrey. Cruel is what you did to me." His voice dropped to a near whisper. "Now get your things and get out." "Where am I supposed to go?" "Not my problem. Maybe your lover can take you in." "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" Lennox demanded. "Tell me everything. Start with his name." "I can't." She broke off, glancing at the baby. Lennox followed her gaze, understanding dawning. "You're protecting him. Even now, I'm trying to protect what's left of our family." "There is no family." The words fell like stones. "You saw to that." "Lennox, please," she begged. "Just listen. I made a mistake, but we can work through this. For her sake, if nothing else. She's not mine, but she could be." Aubrey stepped closer. "We could raise her together. You be a wonderful father, Lennox. I know you would." "Stop." He backed away. "Just stop. There's no fixing this, Aubrey. I want you gone. Both of you. And I never want to see either of you again." The baby stirred, making small noises that would soon become cries. "I'll get my things," Aubrey whispered, defeated. Lennox watched her disappear up the stairs, feeling nothing but cold certainty. Whatever they'd had was dead. She'd killed it. 20 minutes later, he stood at the window as her car pulled away. He didn't wave. He didn't feel anything but a dull, throbbing rage that had nowhere to go. Not yet. He turned back to the empty house. Time to find answers. Lennox sat surrounded by evidence of a double life. Bank statements showing unexplained withdrawals. Deleted text messages he'd recovered from an old phone backup. Credit card statements with charges for hotels on nights Aubrey claimed to be at client meetings. He'd been blind, willfully blind. The laptop screen glowed in the darkened living room as he scrolled through her email. She changed the password, but he knew her patterns the same, 3 variations with a number at the end. He was in within minutes. All those late nights, she claimed to be working on design proposals lies. The weekend conferences that ran long lies. The extra showers, the new lingerie she never wore for him. The unexplained absences, all of it. Lies upon lies. His phone rang, breaking his concentration. Quinn Berenger, his best friend since their days working construction before Lennox built his custom motorcycle business. "You eating?" Quinn asked by way of greeting. "Not hungry." Wasn't a question. "I'm bringing food. And beer." "Quinn." 30 minutes. The line went dead. Lennox returned to the laptop, filtering emails by date. If the baby wasn't premature, conception would have been around. There. An email chain about a fundraiser at the Portland Rehabilitation Center, where Lennox had spent 3 months recovering after a motorcycle crash shattered his leg 2 years ago. He clicked through the thread, scanning for names. The guest list included staff, donors, and his blood froze, Rashawn Bellamy, his physical therapist during recovery. The man who'd pushed him through pain, who'd shared beers after difficult sessions, who'd seemed genuinely invested in Lennox's progress. The man who had been in their home, invited to dinner as thanks for helping Lennox walk again. Another email confirmed it. Aubrey volunteering to help organize the fundraiser, working closely with staff. Working closely with Rashawn. The doorbell rang. Lennox didn't move, eyes fixed on a photo attached to an email. A group shot from the event. Aubrey standing next to Rashawn, his hand casually resting at the small of her back, her body angled toward him. The kind of body language that screamed intimacy. The doorbell rang again, followed by knocking. "I know you're in there," Quinn called. "Open up or I break it down." Lennox shut the laptop and moved to the door. Quinn stepped in, arms loaded with takeout bags, a 6-pack dangling from his fingers. "You look like shit," Quinn observed, taking in Lennox's unshaven face and rumpled clothes. "Feel worse." Quinn set the food on the coffee table and cracked open 2 beers, handing one to Lennox. "Start talking." So Lennox did. Everything from the delivery room to the evidence spread across his living room. Quinn listened without interrupting, his expression darkening with each new detail. "Rashawn Bellamy," Quinn repeated when Lennox finished. "Your PT guy." "Yeah. Son of a bitch." Quinn took a long pull from his beer. "What's the plan?" "Plan? To make them pay." Quinn's eyes, hard from years of military service, fixed on him. "Because they're going to pay." Lennox ran a hand through his hair. "I don't know yet. I need more information." "Then we get more information." Quinn pulled out his phone. "My cousin June is a paralegal. Smart as hell. Knows every legal trick in the book. She can help with the divorce. Make sure Aubrey doesn't get a dime." "I need to be sure it was him." "We'll be sure," Quinn promised. "And then we bury them both." Lennox nodded, feeling the first spark of something besides pain purpose. "I want everything," he said quietly. "Every detail, every lie, every meeting. I want to know how long, how often, where. Everything. We'll get it." Quinn opened a container of food and pushed it toward Lennox. "Eat. You need strength." "For what?" Quinn's smile was all teeth. "For war." The next morning, Lennox showered and shaved for the first time in days. The face in the mirror looked older, harder, the lines around his mouth deeper. Good. He felt older. The naive man who trusted his wife was dead. His phone buzzed with a text from Quinn, meeting June for lunch. "Join us. 1 p.m., River's Edge Cafe." He texted back a thumbs up and turned to the closet. Aubrey's clothes still hung on her side, perfuming the air with her scent. He yanked them down by the handful, stuffing them into garbage bags. By the time he finished, 3 black bags sat by the front door. He dropped them at a donation center on his way to lunch. Her dresser was next. As he emptied the drawers, a small velvet box fell to the floor. Inside was a silver bracelet he'd never seen before, engraved with a date from 6 months ago. Not her birthday. Not their anniversary. He pocketed it and continued in the bathroom. Her makeup and creams filled a 4th bag. He worked methodically, erasing every trace of her presence. In the medicine cabinet, behind a box of tampons, he found a small orange prescription bottle. Birth control pills. Dated 3 months ago. Lennox stared at it. They'd been trying for a baby for over a year. She'd claimed to be off birth control the entire time. Another L.I.W.Y. noon. The house felt emptier, but cleaner somehow. Like lancing a wound. Quinn and June were already at a corner table when Lennox arrived at the cafe. June Caro looked exactly as he remembered from family gatherings. Sharp eyes, sharper mind, her dark hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun. Lennox. She stood to hug him. I'm so sorry about all this. Thanks for helping. Family takes care of family, she said simply. They ordered food, then got down to business. I need a divorce, Lennox began. You'll get one, June assured him. And given the circumstances, we can push for terms heavily in your favor. I want her out of my life completely. No alimony, no shared property. The house is in your name? Yes. Bought it before we married, with cash from my first major commission. Good. June made notes on a legal pad. Business? All mine. She has no involvement. Joint accounts? Lennox hesitated. One savings account. We both contribute. We'll freeze it until the divorce is final. There's more. Quinn interjected. Tell her about Rashawn. Lennox explained his discovery, showing June the emails and the bracelet. Bastard, June muttered. This helps your case. Infidelity, especially long-term, can influence the judge. I want to be sure, Lennox insisted. If I'm going after him, I need solid proof. Leave that to me, Quinn said. I'll find out exactly what's been going on. Legally, June warned. We don't need you getting arrested for stalking. Quinn's smile didn't reach his eyes. I'm just going to talk to some people. Nothing illegal about that. What about the baby? June asked Lennox. Not mine. His tone left no room for discussion. DNA already confirmed it. She might try to argue for support anyway. Some judges are sympathetic too. No, Lennox cut her off. That child is not my responsibility. I want that crystal clear in any agreement. I'll make sure of it, June promised. But be prepared, this could get ugly. It already is. Lennox looked between his two allies. I trusted both of them, welcomed him into my home, and they betrayed me in the worst possible way. They'll pay, Quinn said quietly. Yes, Lennox agreed, the cold certainty settling deeper into his bones. They will. Lennox's workshop had always been his sanctuary. The smell of metal and oil, the precise tools lined up on pegboards, the half-built motorcycles waiting for his touch. This was where the world made sense. Where he was in control. He bent over the frame of a custom Harley, torch in hand, welding with practiced precision. The spark and hiss matched his mood. Hot, dangerous, focused. The side door opened, and Quinn stepped in, carrying a manila folder and a coffee tray. Progress? Lennox asked, pushing up his welding mask. Better than expected. Quinn handed him a cup. Seems your boy Rashawn has quite a reputation. Lennox set down his tools and took the coffee. Tell me, he's a serial cheater. Divorced 3 years ago because he couldn't keep it in his pants. Ex-wife's name is Maya, and she hates his guts. They've had a nasty custody battle going for their kid. How'd you find all this out? Quinn's smile was wolfish. I joined his gym. Amazing what people will tell you in the locker room. Lennox opened the folder. Inside were printouts of social media posts, newspaper clippings about Rashawn's new fitness center, and several blurry photos taken from a distance. Rashawn entering an apartment building. Rashawn at a restaurant with a woman who wasn't Aubrey. He gets around, Quinn said. Your wife wasn't special. The words stung, but Lennox needed to hear them. What about her? Has she contacted him? She's staying with her sister across town. Called you 15 times yesterday. I blocked her number. Smart. Quinn tapped the folder. There's more. June found something interesting about that new gym of his. The financing came through 6 months ago, right when Aubrey started making big withdrawals from your joint account. Lennox's hand tightened around his coffee cup. She helped him buy it. Looks that way. June's digging deeper, seeing if there's a paper trail. The shop door opened again, admitting June herself, dressed in a crisp suit despite the weekend. Speak of the devil, Quinn greeted her. I've got news. She didn't bother with pleasantries. Aubrey did more than make withdrawals. There's a loan agreement with her name on it. And yours. Lennox straightened. What? She co-signed a business loan for $200,000. June handed him a document. With both your names. Lennox scanned the paper, his signature at the bottom. Except it wasn't his signature close, but wrong in subtle ways. I never signed this. I know, June said grimly. It's forgery, and that's a felony. She forged my signature to help her lover open a gym. The betrayal cut fresh. It gets better, June continued. The loan is secured against your house. Lennox's face went slack. She put my house up as collateral. Technically, you both did. If the business fails, you lose the house. The coffee cup crumpled in his grip, hot liquid spilling over his hand. He barely felt it. I want them destroyed, he said quietly. Both of them. We're getting there, Quinn assured him. June's filing the divorce papers Monday. I've got a friend watching Rashawn's place, and I'm meeting his ex-wife tomorrow. Maya. Lennox looked up. What? Enemy of my enemy. Quinn shrugged. She might have dirt we can use. I don't just want dirt, Lennox said. I want them to lose everything, the way I did. June and Quinn exchanged glances. We need to be careful, June warned. Revenge feels good, but illegal actions will only hurt you. Nothing illegal, Lennox agreed. Just justice. The next day, Lennox met Quinn at a downtown coffee shop. Maya Bellamy was already there, a slender woman with wary eyes and a firm handshake. Thanks for meeting us, Lennox said as they sat her day. Quinn explained your situation. Her voice was cool, controlled. I'm sorry your wife got caught in Rashawn's web. So am I. You should know, this is his pattern, Maya continued. He targets women in committed relationships. There's something about the challenge that excites him. How long were you married? Quinn asked. 5 years. 3 good, 2 hell. She stirred her coffee. He cheated with at least 4 women that I know of. Probably more. In the custody battle, Lennox prompted. Maya's expression hardened. He doesn't even want our son. He just knows fighting for custody hurts me. It's control. Sounds like him, Quinn muttered. Why are you doing this? Lennox asked her. Helping us. Because Rashawn Bellamy destroys lives for sport, she said simply. He ruined my marriage, traumatized my child, and walked away smiling. If I can help stop him from doing it to someone else, I will. We're building a case against both of them, Quinn explained. Any information helps. Maya reached into her purse and pulled out a flash drive. Text messages, emails, bank records from our divorce. He tried to hide money, claimed poverty to reduce child support. The judge saw through it. Lennox took the drive. Thank you. There's more, she added. The restraining order I filed last year. He showed up at my house at 3 a.m., drunk, threatening to take my son. When I called the police, he claimed I invited him over. Do you have a copy of the order? On the drive, along with the police report. Lennox pocketed it, a plan forming. Maya, how would you feel about testifying if this goes to court? Her smile was cold. I'd be delighted. They parted ways with promises to stay in touch. As Lennox and Quinn walked to their cars, Quinn glanced at his friend. You got that look. What look? The one you get when you're designing something complicated. Quinn stopped walking. What are you thinking? Lennox leaned against his truck. I'm thinking we hit them where it hurts most. For Rashawn, it's his reputation that Jim is his pride and joy. For Aubrey, it's her social standing, all those Instagram followers and design clients. And how do we do that? Legally, Lennox assured him. But thoroughly. First, I sue over the forged loan documents. That gets public attention. Then we make sure everyone knows exactly who and what they are. Scorched earth. They burn my life to the ground, Lennox said flatly. I'm returning the favor. The courthouse steps were crowded with the usual Monday morning traffic lawyers in suits, defendants in their Sunday best, families there for custody hearings. Lennox, June, and Quinn moved through them purposefully. Inside, their footsteps echoed on marble floors as they followed signs to courtroom C. June led the way, briefcase in hand, her posture radiating confidence. Remember, she murmured as they approached the doors, let me do the talking. No matter what she says, no reactions. Lennox nodded. He'd prepared himself for seeing Aubrey again, or thought he had. She sat at the respondent's table, a young male attorney beside her. Her hair was pulled back severely, her face makeup-free and pale. She looked up as they entered, eyes locking with Lennox's. He felt nothing. "Where's the baby?" June asked quietly. "With her sister, probably," Lennox replied, taking his seat. The judge entered, a stern-faced woman in her 60s. Everyone rose, then sat again at her nod. "Granger versus Granger, petition for divorce and financial injunction," she read from the docket. "Let's begin." June rose. "Your Honor, we're seeking an emergency injunction to freeze joint assets pending divorce proceedings, as well as a ruling on the validity of a loan document we believe was fraudulently executed." "On what grounds?" the judge asked. "Forgery, Your Honor." Mrs. Granger co-signed a commercial loan using Mr. Granger's name without his knowledge or consent, putting their marital home at risk. Aubrey's attorney jumped up. "Your Honor, these are baseless allegations. Mr. Granger was fully aware of the investment. I have the original loan document here," June continued, unruffled, "along with examples of Mr. Granger's genuine signature from multiple sources. Even a cursory examination shows discrepancies." The judge accepted the documents, studying them with narrowed eyes. "Additionally," June added, "we have bank records showing Mrs. Granger made substantial withdrawals from joint accounts coinciding with payments to the business in question, a fitness center owned by Rashawn Bellamy, with whom Mrs. Granger has been conducting an extramarital affair." A murmur ran through the courtroom. Aubrey's face flushed. "That's prejudicial and irrelevant," her attorney protested. "It's relevant to motive, Your Honor," June countered. "Mrs. Granger diverted marital funds to benefit her paramour's business interests, then forged her husband's signature to secure additional financing." The judge held up a hand. "I've heard enough for now. I'm granting a temporary freeze on joint assets pending investigation of these allegations. Mrs. Granger is prohibited from accessing any joint accounts or property until this matter is resolved." Lennox kept his face impassive. Even his satisfaction coursed through him. "Additionally," the judge continued, "I'm ordering handwriting analysis of the loan document. We'll reconvene when those results are available." She banged her gavel. "Next case." Outside the courtroom, Aubrey intercepted them, her attorney hovering nervously behind her. "Lennox, please." She reached for his arm. "This has gone too far." He stepped back, avoiding her touch. "No, it hasn't gone far enough. I made a mistake. I admit that. But this," she gestured at the courthouse, "this is cruel. Cruel as stealing from your husband to fund your lover's business." His voice remained even. "Cruel as forging my name and risking my house. I was going to pay it back," Rashawn promised. "Rashawn," Lennox cut her off. "Is that his name? Funny, you kept forgetting to mention it before." Her eyes darted to Quinn and June. "Can we talk privately?" "No." "Lennox, I'm begging you. If this goes public, my career is over. No one will hire me. You should have thought of that before." Tears welled in her eyes. "What about Raina? She needs stability, support." "That's not my child," Lennox reminded her coldly. "And not my problem." Mr. Granger, her attorney, intervened. "Perhaps we could discuss a settlement. Something equitable for both parties." June stepped forward. "My client is seeking full dissolution with no alimony, no division of assets purchased prior to marriage, and complete separation of all business interests." "That's unreasonable," the attorney sputtered. "No, what's unreasonable is expecting my client to support a woman who betrayed him and a child that isn't his," June replied. "We've already been more than generous by not pursuing criminal charges for the forgery." Yet, Quinn added quietly. Aubrey paled. "Criminal charges? Forgery is a Class C felony in Oregon," June informed her. "Punishable by up to 5 years in prison." "You wouldn't," Aubrey whispered, looking at Lennox. "Try me." Her attorney pulled her aside, whispering urgently. After a moment, she nodded. "We'll consider your terms," the attorney announced. "Expect our counteroffer by Thursday." As they walked away, Lennox heard Aubrey's muffled sob. He kept walking, straight-backed and dry-eyed. The next morning brought unexpected news. June called while Lennox was at his workshop. "We have a problem," she said without preamble. Aubrey's filed for temporary support. What? How can she ask for money after what she did? Not for her. For the baby. She's claiming that despite the DNA results, you acted as the father during pregnancy, buying supplies and preparing a nursery, establishing a pattern of support. Lennox's hand tightened on the phone. That's ridiculous. It's a legal maneuver. Rare but not unheard of. The hearing is Friday. I'll be there. Friday found them back in the same courtroom. This time, Aubrey had the baby with her, a tiny bundle in a pink blanket. A calculated move, Lennox knew. Playing on sympathy. The judge was different today, an older man with reading glasses perched on his nose. He reviewed the file carefully before addressing the court. Mrs. Granger is seeking temporary child support pending final divorce proceedings, despite DNA evidence excluding Mr. Granger as the biological father. Mrs. Granger, please explain your reasoning. Aubrey stood, the baby in her arms. Your Honor, throughout my pregnancy, Lennox Mr. Granger acted as this child's father. He attended doctor appointments, helped prepare a nursery, purchased baby supplies. He established a pattern of support and care that Raina has come to depend on. The judge turned to June. Counselor. June rose. Your Honor, my client learned of his wife's infidelity only at the child's birth. The DNA test was requested immediately. At no point did he agree to raise another man's child, nor has he taken any action to establish himself as a father figure since learning the truth. The nursery, Aubrey began, was prepared under false pretenses. June interrupted. Mrs. Granger deceived my client into believing the child was his. That deception cannot now be used to obligate him financially. The judge peered over his glasses. Has the biological father been identified? Yes, Your Honor, June replied. Rashawn Bellamy. We have submitted his name to the court along with evidence of Mrs. Granger's relationship with him. And has Mr. Bellamy been notified of his paternity? I've attempted to contact him, Aubrey admitted, but he's been unresponsive. I see. The judge made a note. Mrs. Granger, the court sympathizes with your situation, but cannot obligate Mr. Granger to support a child that is demonstrably not his, particularly when the actual father has been identified. But, Your Honor, your petition for temporary support is denied. You are advised to pursue child support from Mr. Bellamy through proper channels. The judge banged his gavel. Outside, Lennox watched as Aubrey struggled with the car seat, the diaper bag, and her purse. For a split second, old instincts urged him to help. He crushed them ruthlessly. That was a lone move, he said as he passed her, using the baby as a prop. She's not a prop, Lennox. She's a person, an innocent person. I know that, but she's not my person. Aubrey's face crumpled. He won't even see her. Won't return my calls. Now you're suing him too. June filed this morning, Lennox confirmed. For fraud and misrepresentation. The gym equipment you bought him with my money? We're taking it back. You're going to destroy his business. That's the idea. The baby began to cry, a thin wail that pierced the courthouse hallway. Aubrey bounced her gently. What happened to you? She whispered. You used to be kind. I used to be a lot of things, Lennox replied, including faithful and honest. You killed that man. He walked away, not looking back even as the baby's cries echoed behind him. That evening, a new voice entered the fray. Lennox's phone rang an unknown number. Granger, it's Rashawn. We need to talk. Lennox's hand tightened on the phone. Nothing to talk about. Look, man, this has gotten out of hand. The lawsuits, the accusations. Out of hand. Lennox repeated. You screwed my wife, got her pregnant, took my money, and now you're complaining because there are consequences? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Rashawn? Explain it to me. A pause. These things happen, man. People make mistakes. A mistake, Lennox echoed. That seems to be the word of the day. I'm trying to be reasonable here. Let's settle this between us. Man to man. I thought we were men when you were in my home. When I invited you for dinner to thank you for helping me walk again. Was that manly, Rashawn? Sleeping with my wife while eating my food. That's not. Or was it manly when you took her money, my money, to buy your precious gym? When you let her forge my name on loan documents? I didn't know about that, Rashawn insisted. That was all Aubrey's idea. So you're throwing her under the bus now? Classy. Listen. Rashawn's voice hardened. I've got money. We can settle this. Name your price. Lennox laughed, cold and sharp. You stole blood from me. I'm taking yours slowly. He hung up and blocked the number. The gym smelled of sweat and disinfectant, weights clanging as early morning clients pushed through their routines. Quinn stretched casually near the free weights, baseball cap pulled low, watching Rashawn lead a private session with a woman in expensive workout gear. Lennox waited outside in his truck, sipping coffee gone cold, Quinn's running commentary coming through his earpiece. Handsy with this one, too, Quinn murmured. That's the third client this week he's adjusted a little too personally. Get on video. Already done. This had been their routine for 2 weeks, now gathering evidence, building a case not just for the courts, but for the court of public opinion. June's lawsuits were proceeding, but legal wheels turned slowly. Lennox's patience had limits. Quinn emerged 40 minutes later, sliding into the passenger seat. Got something better than video today, he said, pulling out his phone. That woman? Name's Jessica Mills. Husband's a city councilman. I chatted her up in a lobby. Turns out Rashawn's been giving her private sessions after hours. She admitted that, not in so many words, but she blushed when I mentioned his reputation with female clients. Quinn showed him a series of photos Rashawn and Jessica leaving together, his hand on her lower back. That's from 2 days ago. They went to the Riverfront Hotel. Lennox studied the images. Any connection to Aubrey? None that I can find. They run in different circles. So he's still at it. Even with all this going on, guys like him don't change, Quinn said, pocketing his phone. Once a cheater, always a cheater. We need more, Lennox decided. Something definitive. I'm working on it. Maya's been helpful. Turns out Rashawn has a pattern with the women he targets. Married, successful, vulnerable in some way. He finds a crack and widens it until the whole thing breaks. Like Aubrey and me trying for a baby, Lennox murmured. Exactly. She was probably stressed, feeling pressure. He offered comfort, no strings. Until there were strings. Lennox started the truck. I want everything you can get. 2 days later, the pieces fell into place. Quinn arrived at Lennox's workshop with June, both looking grimly satisfied. We've got him, Quinn announced, tossing a flash drive onto Lennox's workbench. Hours of footage from a gym. Private sessions, after-hours meetings, the works. And this, June added, placing a folder beside it. Financial records Maya's lawyers subpoenaed for the custody case. Rashawn's been systematically hiding income from the gym, reporting losses while pocketing cash payments. Lennox picked up the folder. Tax fraud, among other things, June confirmed. He's also paying employees under the table to avoid payroll taxes. What does this mean for our case? It strengthens our position enormously. The loan he got with Aubrey's help and your forged signature was based on fraudulent financial statements. That's bank fraud. So we take this to the authorities? June shook her head. Not yet. First, we use it for leverage in your divorce settlement. If Aubrey wants to avoid being implicated in bank fraud, she'll agree to our terms. Lennox considered this. And Rashawn, Quinn grinned. That's where my footage comes in. His clients, his investors, his business partners, they all think he's legitimate. What happens when they see these videos? His reputation tanks, Lennox realized. The gym fails. And when it fails, June added the loan defaults. But my house will be protected once we prove the signature was forged. June's smile was razor sharp. I've already got a forensic handwriting expert's report confirming it. Lennox looked between them, a weight lifting from his shoulders for the first time in weeks. So we've got them. We've got them, Quinn agreed. Just say the word. Do it. The next day, anonymous emails went out to Rashawn's investors, clients, and business partners. Each contained selected video clips and financial documents, with a simple message, know who you're dealing with. Simultaneously, June filed their expert's report with the court, along with a motion to dismiss Aubrey from the loan agreement and hold Rashawn solely responsible. The effects were immediate and devastating. By afternoon, Rashawn's phone was ringing nonstop angry investors, canceling clients, reporters seeking comment. The gym's social media pages flooded with questions and accusations. Lennox watched from a distance, feeling a cold satisfaction as the carefully constructed house of cards collapsed. That evening, Aubrey called from an unfamiliar number. Against his better judgment, Lennox answered. "What have you done?" Her voice was ragged. "Nothing illegal," he replied calmly. "Just made sure the truth came out. He's ruined, Lennox. His business is collapsing. Clients are fleeing. And you care because he's Raina's father," she cried. "Without his income, how is he supposed to support her? That sounds like a problem between you and him. You're being vindictive." "No, Aubrey. I'm being just." Lennox's voice hardened. "He made choices. You made choices. Now you live with the consequences." "And what about you?" she challenged. "Does destroying us make you feel better? Does it heal anything?" "It's not about healing," Lennox said quietly. "It's about justice." A bitter laugh. "Justice? Is that what you call this witch hunt?" "I call it karma. The Lennox I knew wouldn't do this. The Lennox you knew died in that delivery room." He ended the call, blocking this number too, but the victory felt hollow somehow. Empty. He had struck back, hard and effectively. So why didn't it feel like enough? Because there was still more to do, still more truth to uncover. And somewhere deep in his gut, a nagging feeling that something about this whole situation didn't add up. The mediation room was sterile and impersonal, with beige walls and a long table that separated Lennox and Aubrey like opposing armies. Their attorneys flanked them, June cool and collected, Aubrey's lawyer looking increasingly desperate. "My client is willing to concede all financial claims," the lawyer was saying. "She acknowledges the forgery and accepts responsibility." "That's a start," June replied. "But Mr. Granger still has concerns about ongoing harassment." "Harassment?" Aubrey looked up, eyes red-rimmed. "I've barely contacted him." 17 calls from various numbers, June corrected, plus attempts to contact him through mutual friends and family members. "I was trying to explain. My client isn't interested in explanations," June said. "He wants a clean break with no further contact." The mediator, a gray-haired woman with a perpetually neutral expression, made notes. "What about personal property? Has that been divided satisfactorily?" "Mrs. Granger has removed her belongings," June confirmed. "Any items remaining in the house are considered abandoned and will become Mr. Granger's property." "I left photo albums," Aubrey said quietly. "Our wedding pictures. You can have them." Lennox spoke for the first time. "I don't want them." Aubrey flinched. "Is there anything else to discuss?" the mediator asked. "Yes." Aubrey's lawyer straightened. "My client would like to request that Mr. Granger cease his campaign against Mr. Bellamy." Lennox raised an eyebrow. "Campaign?" The distributed videos, the complaints to regulatory agencies, the rumors spread to his clients. The lawyer looked uncomfortable. "It's becoming harassment." "My client has merely shared factual information," June countered. "If Mr. Bellamy's business practices can't withstand scrutiny, that's hardly Mr. Granger's fault. It's vindictive, and you know it." Aubrey burst out. "You're systematically destroying him because you can't stand that I chose him over you." The room went silent. "Is that what you think happened?" Lennox asked quietly. "That you chose him? I made a mistake," Aubrey said, her voice dropping. "I've admitted that. I've apologized. I've given up everything in this divorce. What more do you want?" "The truth," Lennox replied. "Not more lies about one night or barely knowing him. The actual truth for once." Aubrey looked away. "What does it matter now?" "It matters to me." The mediator cleared her throat. "Perhaps a short break would be beneficial." "No," Aubrey said suddenly. "No more breaks. No more delays. You want the truth, Lennox? Fine. Rashawn and I had a relationship. It started during your physical therapy and continued after. It wasn't just physical. I had feelings for him. Real feelings." Lennox's face remained impassive. "And the baby is his," she admitted. "I knew it might be. I hoped it was yours, but I knew." "Why lie?" he asked. "Why not just leave me if you wanted him?" Aubrey's shoulders slumped. "Because he didn't want me to leave you. He liked the arrangement as it was. And then I got pregnant, and he panicked, and suddenly everything fell apart. So you were going to pass his child off as mine. Let me raise it, never knowing. I don't know what I was going to do," she whispered. "I was scared and confused and trying to hold everything together. By lying to everyone." "Yes." She looked up, tears streaming now. I'm sorry, Lennox. Truly sorry. He studied her face, the face he'd once loved, once trusted completely. Now he saw only a stranger. I want the divorce finalized this week, he told June. Whatever it takes. June nodded. I'll make it happen. Outside the mediation center, Quinn waited by his truck. How'd it go? She admitted everything, Lennox said, climbing into the passenger seat. Finally. And nothing. It changes nothing. Quinn started the engine. Where to? Lennox checked his watch. The shop. I've got a bike to finish. They drove in silence for several minutes before Quinn spoke again. June called earlier. Said Rashawn's been trying to reach you. Offering money again. How much? 50,000. Quinn snorted. As if that covers it. It doesn't. What are you going to do? Lennox looked out the window at Portland passing by, gray and rainy as his mood. Keep going. Until there's nothing left of either of them. At the workshop, Lennox lost himself in metal and chrome, the precise work of building something beautiful from raw materials. Hours passed unnoticed until his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number that a photo of Raina appeared on the screen, with a simple message, "She deserves to know her father." Lennox blocked the number without replying. Another buzz, another unknown number. "Please talk to me. I'm begging you." Blocked at a third. "Rashawn wants to meet. Says he can make this right." Blocked. The fourth came from a number he recognized, Dr. Ramos, the pediatrician from the delivery room. Mr. Granger, please contact me regarding an urgent matter with baby Raina. Medical issue requiring immediate attention. Lennox frowned. What medical issue could possibly involve him? He wasn't the father. Still, something in the message's tone made him hesitate. After a moment's consideration, he called the number. Dr. Ramos speaking. It's Lennox Granger. You texted about Raina. Mr. Granger, thank you for calling. The doctor's voice was grave. I need you to come to my office. There's been a development regarding the baby's paternity that I can't discuss over the phone. I already know I'm not the father. The DNA test was conclusive. Yes, but there's more to it. Please, Mr. Granger. It's important. Something in the doctor's tone sent a chill down Lennox's spine. When? Can you come now? I'll wait. I'll be there in 30 minutes. The pediatrician's office was quiet, the last patients of the day long gone. Dr. Ramos met Lennox at the door, looking tired and troubled. Thank you for coming, he said, leading Lennox to his private office. What I'm about to tell you is, well, unprecedented in my practice. Just say it. Dr. Ramos sat behind his desk, pulling out a file. After your paternity test showed you weren't Raina's father, the hospital ran standard genetic screening on a baby. There were some anomalies that required additional testing. What kind of anomalies? Markers that didn't match either parent. The doctor opened the file. Mr. Granger, the DNA results are definitive. Raina is not biologically related to Aubrey either. Lennox blinked. What? Raina is not Aubrey's biological child. Dr. Ramos slid a paper across the desk. We've confirmed it with multiple tests. That's impossible. I was there. I watched her give birth. Yes, which makes this situation all the more disturbing. The doctor removed his glasses. We believe there was a mix-up in the nursery. Another baby, born the same night, was given to your wife. And Aubrey and Rashawn's actual baby, Dr. Ramos looked down, was given to another family, a woman named Callista Nevers. She was told her baby died shortly after birth due to respiratory complications. Lennox felt the room tilt. Are you saying this woman has been grieving a dead baby for months, while her actual child has been with Aubrey? Yes, it's a catastrophic error. The hospital is conducting a full investigation. Does Aubrey know? We contacted her yesterday. She was understandably shocked. Lennox sat back, mind racing. And this Callista person? Ms. Nevers was informed this morning. She's coming in tomorrow to do additional testing, but the preliminary results are conclusive. Raina is her biological daughter, and the father, unknown at this time. Ms. Nevers was unmarried and declined to name the father on the birth certificate. Lennox rubbed his face. What happens now? Legally, it's complicated. The hospital will work with both families to determine the best course of action, but ultimately, Raina is Ms. Nevers' biological child. The implications hit Lennox like a physical blow. The baby wasn't Aubrey's. Wasn't Rashawn's. Had never been. All of this, the betrayal, the pain, the revenge had swirled around a child that belonged to neither of them. "I'd like to meet her," he found himself saying. "Callista." Dr. Ramos nodded. "I'll arrange it, if she's willing." The next day, Lennox sat in a private hospital conference room, waiting. June had insisted on coming with him, concerned about legal ramifications. "You have no obligation here," she reminded him. "Legally, you're completely separate from this situation." "I know," Lennox said. "I just need to see this through." The door opened, and a woman entered, slender, with deep brown skin and close-cropped hair. Her eyes, red-rimmed from crying, met his with a wariness that matched his own. "Ms. Nevers," Dr. Ramos made the introduction. "This is Lennox Granger." "The husband," she said quietly. "Ex-husband," Lennox corrected. "Nearly finalized." Callista sat across from him. "They told me what happened. With your wife and the other man. It's complicated. And painful, I imagine." Her voice was soft, measured. "I'm sorry." Lennox studied her. "You're a teacher?" "Third grade. 8 years now." "And the father?" "Of your baby." She stiffened slightly. "Not in the picture. By his choice." "I'm sorry." A small shrug. "Life happens." They sat in silence for a moment. Two strangers connected by an impossible mistake and months of separate suffering. "Have you seen her?" Callista finally asked. "Recently, I mean." "No, not since the hospital. They showed me pictures. She's beautiful." Tears welled in her eyes. "I thought she was gone. I had a funeral. A little white casket." Lennox felt something crack in his carefully maintained wall of anger. "I can't imagine. And now she's alive, but she doesn't know me. Doesn't know I'm her mother." Callista wiped her eyes. "They say the first months are crucial for bonding. I've missed them all." "She's still young," Lennox found himself saying. "You'll make new bonds. Your wife, ex-wife, she's had her all this time. Feeding her, changing her, soothing her cries." Callista looked at him directly. "Does she love her, do you think?" The question caught him off guard. He'd been so focused on his own pain, his own revenge, he hadn't thought about Aubrey as a mother. "Yes," he admitted. "She loves her." Callista nodded slowly. "That's something, at least. What happens now? With the baby?" "There will be a transition period," Dr. Ramos interjected. "Supervised visits, gradually increasing until full custody is transferred to Ms. Nevers." "It feels cruel," Callista murmured. "Taking her from the only mother she's known. But she's mine, my flesh and blood." Lennox understood suddenly, with perfect clarity, the awful position this woman was in. To claim what was rightfully hers meant inflicting trauma on an innocent child. "If there's anything I can do," he offered. Callista looked surprised. "After everything you've been through, why would you want to help?" Lennox considered the question. "Because none of this is the baby's fault, and none of it is yours." For the first time, she smiled, a small, sad thing, but genuine. "Thank you, Mr. Granger." "Lennox." "Callista." She hesitated. Will you tell me about her? What you know, what she's like." So he did. The little he knew from the brief time before his world shattered. How she had a strong cry right from the start. How her tiny fingers had gripped the edge of her blanket in the hospital. And somewhere in the telling, Lennox felt something shift inside him, not forgiveness. Not yet, but a loosening of the knot of rage that had driven him for months. The door opened, interrupting them. Aubrey stood there, looking as shocked to see Lennox as he was to see her. "I was told to come." She trailed off, eyes moving to Callista. "You're her, the mother." Callista stood. "And you're the woman who's been raising my daughter." The tension in the room could have been cut with a knife. Lennox rose, preparing to leave, but Aubrey stopped him with a hand on his arm. "Wait, please. You should hear this too." Dr. Ramos cleared his throat. "Mrs. Granger has been speaking with the hospital administration. She has a proposal regarding the transition." Aubrey looked directly at Callista. "I know she's yours. I know you have every right to take her immediately. But I'm begging you for Raina's sake, let it be gradual. Let her get to know you slowly." "That was already the plan," Callista said cautiously. "I want to help," Aubrey continued. "I've been her mother for months. I know her cries, her likes, her schedule. Let me help you become her mother." Lennox watched the exchange, marveling at the surreal turn his life had taken. Two women negotiating over a baby that neither had expected to share, while he stood witness. I appreciate that, Callista said finally. It's generous, considering. Aubrey's eyes filled with tears. She's an innocent baby. She deserves a smooth transition. And Rashawn? Lennox found himself asking, where's he in all this? Aubrey's expression hardened. Gone. When he found out Raina wasn't his, he wanted nothing to do with any of it. Called it too much drama. Somehow, Lennox wasn't surprised. I should go, he said. This is between you two now. Lennox. Aubrey stopped him again. I know you hate me. I know what I did was unforgivable. But please stop the lawsuits. Stop the campaign against Rashawn. It's over. We're all paying for our mistakes. He looked at her for the first time in months. She was thinner, exhausted, eyes hollow with grief and stress. Rashawn had abandoned her. The baby wasn't hers. Her reputation was in tatters. Her career hanging by a thread. She's right, Callista said quietly. Enough people have been hurt by all this. Lennox looked between the two women, then at Dr. Ramos, watching the scene with professional detachment. I'll talk to June, he said finally. About the lawsuits. Thank you, Aubrey whispered. He nodded curtly and left, unable to stand another moment in that room, full of broken lives and unexpected connections. I in the parking lot. He called Quinn. We're pulling back, he said without preamble. On Rashawn. On all of it. What? What? Quinn sounded bewildered. We've got them on the ropes. The baby isn't theirs. Lennox explained the situation briefly. None of this was ever about the baby. So? That doesn't change what they did to you. No, but it changes things. Lennox got into his truck. I'm not forgiving them. I'm just done. They've lost enough. Lennox. It's my decision, Quinn. I appreciate everything you've done, but it's time to move on. A long silence, then, if that's what you want. It is. What about the divorce? Still happening. Still on my terms. But the rest of it? The systematic destruction? I'm calling it off. All right, Quinn said, clearly reluctant. Your call. Lennox drove home, mind racing. The house felt empty and cold when he entered. How long had it been since it felt like a home? Since before the doubts began, before he started noticing Aubrey's absences and excuses that he moved to the nursery, standing in the doorway of a room he'd helped paint, the crib he'd assembled. All for a child that wasn't his. Wasn't even Aubrey's. The unfairness of it all struck him anew. Callista, grieving a baby that was alive. Himself, betrayed by the two people he should have been able to trust. Even Aubrey, raising a child she thought was hers, only to learn she had no biological claim. The only true villains were Rashawn, who abandoned everyone when things got difficult, and the hospital, whose inexcusable error had compounded the damage. His phone rang June. I just got a call from Aubrey's lawyer, she said. They're accepting all our terms for the divorce. No contests, no claims, clean break. Good, Lennox said tiredly. Let's finish it. Are you sure about dropping the other lawsuits? We have solid cases. I'm sure. It's time to end this. All right, I'll draw up the paperwork. She paused. Lennox, for what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Do you? Yes. There's justice, and then there's vengeance. One heals, the other consumes. After hanging up, Lennox wandered into his bedroom. On the nightstand sat a framed photo. He hadn't been able to bring himself to remove himself and Aubrey on their honeymoon, laughing on a Hawaiian beach. They looked happy. Had they been? Or had it all been built on sand, destined to wash away with the first serious tide? He took the photo, studied it one last time, then dropped it into the trash. The courthouse was quiet on Monday morning when Lennox arrived for the final divorce hearing. June waited on the steps, briefcase in hand. Ready? She asked as he approached. More than ready. Inside, Aubrey was already seated with her attorney, looking subdued in a simple gray dress. No makeup, hair pulled back, the picture of contrition. Lennox ignored her as he took his seat. The judge entered a different one this time, younger, with a reputation for efficiency. Granger versus Granger, final dissolution of marriage, he read from the docket. I understand both parties have agreed to terms? Yes, Your Honor. Both attorneys replied simultaneously. Let me review. He flipped through the paperwork. Mrs. Granger relinquishes all claims to property acquired before and during the marriage. Mr. Granger assumes sole responsibility for the business. No alimony, no shared assets. Mrs. Granger acknowledges responsibility for unauthorized use of joint funds and forgery of loan documents, but Mr. Granger declines to pursue criminal charges. He looked up. Is this accurate? Yes, Your Honor, June confirmed. Mrs. Granger, do you understand and accept these terms? Aubrey's voice was barely audible. Yes, Your Honor. And you enter into this agreement voluntarily, without coercion? Yes. The judge nodded. Mr. Granger, do you accept these terms as written? I do, Lennox replied. Then by the power vested in me by the state of Oregon, I hereby dissolve this marriage. The judge signed the decree. You are both free to go your separate ways. Simple words to end 4 years of marriage. Lennox felt nothing. No relief, no sadness, no closure. Just emptiness. Outside, Aubrey approached him hesitantly. Lennox, could I speak with you? Just for a moment. June gave him a questioning look. He nodded. It's fine. When they were alone, Aubrey spoke softly. I wanted to tell you that Callista and I have worked out a transition plan. She's a good person, kind, considering everything. I'm glad, Lennox said neutrally. I also wanted to say, she took a deep breath. I know you won't forgive me. I don't expect you to, but I'm truly sorry for what I did. Not just the affair, but the lies, the theft, all of it. You deserve better. Lennox studied her face, searching for the manipulation, the angle. Found none. Yes, he agreed. I did. Tears welled in her eyes. I hope someday you find happiness again, Lennox. Real happiness. Is that all? She nodded, wiping her eyes. That's all. Goodbye, Lennox. He watched her walk away, feeling neither satisfaction nor pain. Just the hollow knowledge that something that had once been precious was now irreparably broken. June rejoined him. You okay? Fine. He turned away from Aubrey's retreating figure. It's over. What now? Now I rebuild. He headed for the exit, just like I always do. The following week brought an unexpected call. Callista Nevers, asking if they could meet. They arranged to meet at a quiet cafe downtown. She was already there when he arrived, a sleeping Raina in a carrier beside her. Thank you for coming, she said as he sat down. I wasn't sure you would. I wasn't sure either, he admitted. How are things going? Slowly. Her smile was tired but genuine. The transition is challenging, but we're finding our way. And Aubrey, struggling. It's hard for her to let go. Callista glanced down at the sleeping baby. But she's been incredibly helpful. Shows me Raina's routines, what comforts her, what she likes. That's good of her. It is. Callista met his eyes, which is why I want to talk to you. About Rashawn. She clasped her hands on the table. He came back, tried to reconcile with Aubrey, said he made a mistake running away. Lennox's jaw tightened, and she refused him, told him it was too late, that she'd chosen Raina and me over him. Why are you telling me this? Because I thought you should know that she's chosen a harder path. The right path. Callista's gaze was steady. She could have gone back to him, started over. Instead, she's helping me transition into motherhood, knowing it means losing Raina completely. Lennox absorbed this. It doesn't erase what she did. No, Callista agreed. But it says something about who she is now, doesn't it? He didn't answer directly. How are you doing? With all of this? Overwhelmed. Joyful. Terrified. She smiled faintly. I thought I'd lost her forever. Now I have to learn how to be her mother overnight. You'll manage. I will. She hesitated. There's something else I wanted to ask you. What's that? Would you be willing? I mean, I know this is presumptuous, but would you tell Raina about me someday? When she's older and has questions about this time? Lennox blinked in surprise. Me? You're the only one who saw it all from the outside, without the emotional entanglements Aubrey and I have. Callista looked at the sleeping baby. Someday, she'll want to know her story. The whole story. I'm not sure I'm the right person for that, Lennox said carefully. I was only in her life for a few hours. But you were there at the beginning. And you're here now, talking to her mother. Callista leaned forward. I'm not asking for involvement. Just availability, maybe if she ever needs another perspective. Lennox studied the baby peaceful in sleep, unaware of the chaos surrounding her existence. Innocent. I can do that, he found himself saying. If she ever asks. Thank you. Callista's relief was palpable. As they parted ways. Lennox watched them go, the teacher and the baby who wasn't his, never had been, but who had upended his entire life nonetheless. She's yours, he said quietly to Callista's retreating back. Not mine. I was just holding on to a lie. 6 months later, Lennox stood in the expanded workshop of Granger Custom Motorcycles. Business had recovered from the divorce drama and was thriving again. 3 new hires worked at stations around the space, while Quinn managed the front office. The bell over the door jingled, and June walked in, impeccable as always in a tailored suit. Thought I'd find you here, she said, making her way through the workshop. Never not working, are you? Best therapy I know. Lennox wiped his hands on a rag. What brings you by? News. Thought you'd want to hear it in person. She perched on a stool. Rashawn Bellamy's gym is officially bankrupt. Closed its doors yesterday. Lennox nodded, unsurprised. After the tax fraud charges, it was inevitable. He's facing jail time, June continued. The IRS doesn't play around. And Aubrey, moving to Seattle from what I hear. Fresh start. June studied him. Does it matter? Lennox considered the question. No, not anymore. Good. She smiled. Because I brought something else too. She reached into her briefcase and pulled out a bottle of whiskey. To celebrate 1 year of your new life. Quinn appeared from the office. I heard alcohol. Count me in. They gathered in the small break room. Quinn producing 3 glasses from a cabinet. To freedom, June proposed, raising her glass. To justice, Quinn added. Lennox lifted his own. To moving forward. The whiskey burned, pleasantly going down, warming his chest. He looked around at his 2 closest allies, the ones who'd stood by him through the darkest period of his life. I never properly thank you both, he said quietly. For everything. Quinn waved it off. That's what family does. Still, Lennox insisted. I wouldn't have made it through without you. You're stronger than you think, June said. You always were. Later, after they had gone, Lennox returned to the bike. He'd been working on a custom Triumph, sleek and powerful. His phone buzzed with a text from an unfamiliar number. IT was a photo of Raina, now approaching her first birthday, sitting in Callista's lap, both smiling at the camera. The message read, she's walking now. Thought you might like to know. So Lennox looked at the photo for a long moment, then typed a reply. She looks happy. You both do. The response came quickly. We are. Thank you for everything. That he pocketed his phone and returned to his work, hands steady as he shaped metal to his will. Outside, Portland rain tapped against the skylights, a gentle reminder of the storms weathered and survived. In the corner of the workshop hung a framed quote, installed during the recent renovation. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. Lennox glanced at it as he reached for his welding torch. He'd been through the fire, all right, and emerged not just intact, but stronger, harder, more certain of who he was and what he would and would not tolerate in his life. That he flipped down his welding mask and ignited the torch. Sparks flew as he fused metal to frame, creating something new and powerful from raw materials, just like he'd done with his own life.